It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Sports don't stop, and neither do we. Welcome to 365 Sports, your home for real conversations, original shows, and coverage that lives where sports actually happen. Join David Smoke, Craig Smoke, and myself, Paul Catalina, for in-depth interviews and local stories to the moments national media misses. 365 Sports brings you the voices, debates, and perspectives fans care about every single day. Subscribe now on YouTube, search 365 Sports, and never miss a moment because sports aren't seasonal. They're 365.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
Just use AMP-Pace.
Pace.
With Ease US, make studio-quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high-quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional-grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US. Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at Ulike, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ULIKE.com. Ulike.
Hey, it's Matt Mosley of The Matt Mosley Show. We want you to watch our show every day, 1 to 3 on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. And you get to see big-name guests like Gary Patterson, Art Briles, Scott Drew, Doug McNamee, major Cowboys insiders, ESPN legends like Sal Palantonio. When news breaks on Cowboys or Baylor or NFL, we want you to look here first. 1 to 3 weekdays, it's the Matt Mosley Show.
Hey-o, we are back in Waco, Texas, baby. Back where it all started, really, for all of us here. We're presented by Slovakics, the Pete Sousa Show. Is this the 365 Sports Bunker, Garrett? Yeah. Oh, wait, what's the name of this studio? It's the TFNB studio, TFNB Bank studio. It's been a minute. I know that we got a sign over here somewhere. It's probably, it's over there in the, the executive suite. When you walk, like where J-Mo and I do our show, like people that actually move the needle, we're in here. But, the big timers, the executive suite, they're over there. It looks like you go into the 365 area, it feels like, like a posh country club locker room, like really, it's a whole different feel. Like, you go into the locker room at the YMCA or a public golf course, or, you know, even like, I don't want to say Lifetime because they're pretty nice, but maybe let's say a Lifetime. You might want to bring that mic closer. Thanks, Cameron. Maybe like a Lifetime or something. Does it sound better now, Cam?
Yes, it does, Pete. Yes, it does. I think we were just getting a bit of a sound echo from the studio and it was a little farther away.
Okay, so we're better now?
Better now.
All right, better
so
now.
far.
All right. But yeah, like when you go over there's like an aura you're hit with. And then you're hit with the question, like, why the hell do these guys get all this? But then you're hit with acceptance from the Lord above. And you just say, hey, man, I'm happy to be here rocking and rolling doing a show with Scott Williams, no less, today. Scott Williams, look, I'm going to give you guys a little, just a heads up. Scott and I are friends. Scott's a guy who means a lot to me. So if I'm throwing around the softballs, you can suck it. All right. That's my guy. And he's also, I'm going to hit him with some hard balls, actually. Let's get all that good old boy stuff out of the way. I want to know what Scott thinks about the Carolina job. I want to know what he thinks Dean Smith would say. And I want to talk to Scott about his career and his book, Through the Fire, which is on sale now. You can get it wherever you know you look for your books on Amazon. And I guess that would just be Amazon. But yeah, Scott is a force of nature, and I'm lucky to have known him. And a guy who wasn't drafted, who probably played more games than anybody else in his draft class that was taken above him in the draft. Special dude, special player, special broadcaster, amazing story. So we'll get to Scott probably about, I think, 20 minutes from now. I want to begin as we thank Socorro Family Ford for, I think, the last time. We are in the business for a new car sponsor. Socorro Family Ford, they want to get away from digital, as we were told, and do more broadcast TV. But that's okay because we've added 3 more sponsors, specifically Kalshi. How about Kalshi? Cam, let's pop that up there. Here's the deal. Kalshi.com, promo code Sousa. Now, we want to keep this big sponsorship. You know, the show, as it stands, we're doing good. We're making money, okay? Hand over fist, let's press pause. But we're making money. But we want to make more money so we can do more stuff with you guys and for you guys. And a great way to get involved is Kalshi.com, promo code Sousa. You get on there and you trade. And look, Kalshi's making such a name for itself that when you look on your ESPN updates, I got a headline yesterday, or an alert, as they're called, that basically said, like, the NFL is trying to get Kalshi, like, kind of out of their gambling sphere, which is lets you know that Kalshi's doing something right. Also, this is it right here. Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers. Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers. We'll talk about who needs Daniel Stark in about either at the top of this show, maybe in 10 minutes, or maybe after we talk to Scott Williams. But I first want to get to a story that's kind of been annoying me. And I'm a pretty positive guy. And I'm going to be a jerk here for a second because I am very understanding of the fact that I don't have all the answers to the test, that there's so many more people who know more than I do. But in certain situations and instances, I am informed. And this is one of them. After the game, or I shouldn't say that, after Mullins hits the amazing shot, the shot that will go down in history, which, by the way, I had time to think about it yesterday. That could quite possibly be the greatest shot of all time, but UConn has to win the championship. So it's interesting how what happens in the future will really affect what happens with that shot that just took place a few days ago. But that's a fact.
Interesting kind of comparison to that, Pete. I was thinking about this the other day. Is not a lot. I think less people than you would realize remember the Leitner shot against UConn. Like, that was before my time, and it took me a while to learn about. Yeah. Everybody knows the Kentucky one because they won the title, but
they lost. I got you. That was the Final Four where they lost to Seton Hall. They got blitzed by Seton Hall.
No, it's when they lost to UNLV. Seton Hall was the year before. UNLV in the championship game, they lost by 30. Yeah, it was 1990.
Did they win both? Can I ask you a question? Were both of those regionals won at the Meadowlands? They were, right?
I think that's correct.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Wait. You're saying the UConn one and the Kentucky one? Okay.
No. Let me tell you. Okay.
Yeah.
So Duke. Okay. Now we're somehow stuck in this.
It's just funny. I was thinking about this exact scenario that you're talking about yesterday.
This is what you do to get us to talk about Duke. And now here we are talking about Duke again. Cameron Indoor Stewart. I'm going to start calling you Cameron Outdoor Stewart because that's where you're going to be if you keep this shit up. All right.
Good. I could use
no more curse words, Victor. I promise. No more curse words. But no, Quinn Snyder's senior year, Danny Ferry's senior year. No. Yes, Ferry's senior year was Leitner's freshman year, and they beat Morning in East Rutherford. Okay, and then when Leitner hit the shot, they beat UConn at East Rutherford. That's why I got confused. So you're correct. So the Leitner pump fake shot when they didn't guard the inbound, that was the shot where they lost to UNLV. All right, nice job.
Correct. Thank you.
Yeah. Great job. All right, but here's the thing. We're talking about, you talk about Mike Krzyzewski, you talk about amazing coaches, and if Danny Hurley wins the national championship, look, he's there. He's there with Bob Knight. He's there with Mike Krzyzewski. He's there with, the best of the best. That's where he's going to be with Rick Pitino. I don't think you can ignore that. But one thing that you can't ignore either is the traffic on social media around this. Cam, let's give the image, and then we'll just obviously add the context. So this is moments after that huge shot by Mullins. I have worked many games, calling games for either NBC or ESPN, where Roger Ayers has been an official. Roger Ayers, as most officials do, will come over to the scorer's table, shake hands with the broadcasters, tell us how, if there's something that goes on where there's a call in question, they will communicate with us, and he lets us know which official will be talking at the scores table. And usually there's an official that will run over and talk to us. So there's one on the mic and one that kind of will convey it to us. Sometimes the same guy does both. Roger Ayers is really cool. Just the impression you get of him right away is like, this guy's a regular guy. Roger Ayers is one of the most overworked officials in college basketball. And if you know anything about the landscape of officiating in college basketball, that is saying something. Okay, this guy works all the time. And what comes with that is a great rapport with most all coaches. And this moment to me was, can we please apply common sense? That's all I'm asking for. Like common sense. Yes, you cannot disregard. Danny Hurley has quite a reputation with referees, with outbursts, with all that stuff, with decorum. There have been times where Danny Hurley has acted like a toddler. And, he's been taken to task for that, and he suffered consequences. This was Danny Hurley being Danny Hurley, okay? And it was Roger Ayers being Roger Ayers. If Roger Ayers didn't want any part of that instance or that engagement with Danny Hurley, he wouldn't have been right there. There's also a chance, by the way, that Roger Ayers initiated this interaction. Not only by moving over into that area, but he may have said something to Danny Hurley. This is no BS. He quite possibly, knowing his personality, could have been like, man, you're going to have to pay that guy more next year. Like something like that. That is not out of the question. Now, is that within the letter of the law the right thing? No. Is Danny Hurley getting that close to him within the letter of the law the right thing? No. But at the end of the day, you got to apply some modicum of common sense to this stuff. Like, and here's another thing that annoys me, because this is like, let's bring some interesting context to this, right? Terry McAuley, who is an NFL officiating legend, and he was getting in on Twitter saying, okay, so the official who failed so they put out a list of Final Four referees, of which Roger Ayers is not on there, which is a surprise. He's probably one of the best officials in the nation. And Terry McAuley, who is an NFL rules expert, former referee himself, who was taking Roger Ayers and Danny Hurley to task on Twitter the day previous when this came out. Terry McAuley says, the official who failed to penalize Hurley's abhorrent conduct is conspicuously missing from the Final Four, speaks volumes, reminds me of the situation in 1987 when three of the best failed to penalize Bobby Knight when he slammed the table during a regional final game. Everyone in the basketball community knew those three were done. Dude, Terry McAuley, like, come up for air, bro. Like, first of all, every ref has like a year, no matter how good you are, where you get a break from the Final Four. Kip Kissinger had it last year. And he is literally one of the best of the best. This is a situation where I cannot imagine that this instance got Roger Ayers in trouble. And if it did, he's certainly not done, dude. He's not done. First of all, they can't afford to throw out any more good officials, because if they do, they're going to be more screwed than they are right now. If you talk to anybody that knows anything about college basketball, one of the biggest problems is the overworked officials. So if we're going to dismiss one of the best ones out there for this, then we've got bigger issues. The good news is this, folks. All this you're hearing, even my voice right now, it's all noise. It's all fantasy. Within the walls, right, of the rooms that count, they're not talking about this being a big deal. Everybody's moved on, except for the trolls, right? And Seth Greenberg, who I love and appreciate, actually did the one thing that a journalist is supposed to do. He talked to both parties. Imagine. Could you imagine that? Actually talking to both people involved and then reporting on that? Whoa. I know. That's shocking for most of us these days, right? Roger Ayers said he didn't even know at the time immediately following, and there may be some BS to this. He didn't even know what Seth was talking about when Seth talked to him, okay? Like, and Danny, you know, is Danny. And he didn't, and I don't want to say that, oh, he's my buddy Danny Hurley, but that's who Danny Hurley is. I don't think we need to go under the hood to figure it out. This is two guys that have an amazing professional relationship that have, and even if it's somebody you've coached against, right? Like, and you hate that coach, when you see him a little bit later down the line, or maybe you see him at night after a game, whether it's rival coaches or coach official, you'll be like, man, that was crazy. I have sat next to, and I'm not the only broadcaster to do this, Keith Kimball is from Waco. He's a Waco guy. He's one of the best officials there is out there. Let me see. If Keith, well, I'm not going to look it up now because it'll take too much time. Keith may be officiating the Final Four. Again, it would be, by the way, if he is. But I've sat on planes next to Keith on the way back from games that he officiated and I called, and we've had a funny chat and whatever. Now, I don't have a strong bond with Keith Kimball, but there is like a coexistence there between everyone, because those guys worry about what we say about them, because ultimately, and this is scary to think that I'm the one layer between what happens on the floor and to the general public. But like, you know, they don't want us to crush officials. And we don't, I don't, unless it's like something that's egregious. And I usually will leave that to the analyst. There was a situation recently where, you know, some executives from conferences on the women's basketball side really wanted broadcasters to stop using names of officials. They were worried because some of those officials felt threatened. I've never heard that from anybody on the men's side. And, you know, this is much to do about nothing, but it's a great example of like how we get hung up on stuff. Even Dan Patrick this morning. I love Dan Patrick, and he's forgotten more about the media landscape or this business than I know. But Dan was like, I want to know what was said. Like, why? Like, it's not your business, Dan Patrick. Like, no, you don't need to know what was said. Nobody needs to know what was said. We trust Roger Ayers. He didn't call a technical foul. This didn't look amazing, but like, it's the heat of the battle. That's another thing that pisses me off about all this stuff. And it ain't like I'm in the NFL Hall of Fame, but I bounced around the trenches for a minute, right? Supposed to play in college, did not. I got a friggin' defibrillator here as proof as to why I couldn't. But, you know, my scholarship was honored by the University of Richmond. I was around the sport day in and day out, worked with coaches. Afterwards, you know, worked in the NBA doing PR around teams pretty much my whole life. Like, there is an absence of context and an absence of grace and an absence of relatability and an absence of what these guys are going through. That is seconds after the most prolific shot possibly in college basketball history. There's a very good chance that those two men were just saying to each other, what the F? And just moved on, right? Now, Cam, I saw you popping up there like you've got an attitude. I did. And I'm not trying to like start something with you, but, and you can take this picture down. You've done a wonderful job producing this show. But I'm curious to see, what seriously, you seem like you took umbrage with what I said. It
was just like, I am fully, like, I agree with your point about like the ref doesn't have a problem with it. Then why do we care? Like, who cares? But the thing that I keep coming back to with this Dan Hurley thing is like, what is he doing? Like, why is he doing that? You know what I mean? Like, this isn't just like flipping out and arguing your case. Like, why is he forehead to forehead with a ref? That's
another thing.
Like, what is he accomplishing? What is he doing?
Well, here's another thing, and let's keep this let's keep this thoughtful. Because I don't want to be a spaz and be a rockhead, but because I just was there, but I'm a little, this stuff gets you fired up, and if there's this is the place to talk about it, especially if you're me. No, I think that's who Danny Hurley is. You can't take Danny Hurley instilling the grit and willingness and belief in his team to come back from 19 down and to play the way that they are. You get that, Danny Hurley? You get this too. Like, I'm sorry, like, you can't, and you're right. You're right. As to the letter of the law, and like, again, hold on, I got Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Jay Wright, right? He would never do that. Okay? Father, Son, Holy Spirit. He wouldn't. And so that is something where, as a Villanova fan, I just knew how lucky we were. Scott Drew would never do that, right? Hey, Cam, wouldn't you rather Scott Drew did that with Baylor back in the Final Four again?
I mean, yeah, but that's not really the argument here.
Oh, Chuck's the best coach ever. Maybe we'll get Alvin Brooks back. It's going to be the best, man. Jerome's here. Woo! All right, awesome. But, like, where are you right now? You're playing in the Crown. Danny Hurley's going to another Final Four.
What does that have to do with it? Like,
what that has to do with it is that you take the good with the bad. Your package of Danny Hurley is that too. Like, that makes the amazing coach. We're never going to know what he was doing. And you're right. It is ridiculous that he was even flirting with that, but that's who he is.
I wasn't around for it when Charlie Garner got punched in the throat by Woody Hayes. And I don't know if anybody was saying, well, that's just who Woody Hayes is. Like, you know what I mean?
That's different. He punched the kid.
Like, we do have to have a line. That's all I'm saying. And I like Danny Hurley, man. Is it annoying? Yeah. But, like, of course, that is who you'd want as your coach, for sure. And, like, I'm just saying, and again, that's where it comes down to Scott Ayers doesn't care. I don't care. But, like, there is a line that, like, sometimes we need to draw. And in the moment when people see this, they're like, what the hell is that guy doing? Like, this is insane. You don't do this in normal, polite society. You know,
you don't, but like I'm saying, there's context and layers to a lot of stuff. And could you imagine if Roger Ayers had teed him up for that?
Scott Ayers was the emergency backup goalie.
Could you imagine if he did?
Well, that's the thing. And if he had teed him up for that, I think that would have sucked. Like, just because of the moment. But also then you think, well, then if it's a big moment, you could just do anything, you know? And I don't know. I get bugged when I watch a lot of soccer, and I get bummed and, like, bugged out when the refs just get, like, completely cornered by, like, 6 guys yelling right in their face. Like, I think that sucks for sports. So all of that is together. I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's a terrifying situation for any human being. Right?
Yeah, and Roger Ayers can handle it. So I guess that's kind of the end of it. But
could you, what if it was a female official?
See, that's an interesting point, Pete, because there would have been think piece after think piece today.
Can I say one more?
I'm not kidding. There would be major writers that would be calling for Dan Hurley to be fired.
Yes,
if that was a female.
But I would imagine that the tough girl who was right there nose to nose with him would come out and take the air out of that right away.
Right, which happens a lot, but that doesn't. That doesn't.
One more, because Scott Williams is here, but I see Scott. He's kind of moving around. He's in Scottsdale. He's got the beautiful setup going, so it doesn't seem like he's in a huge rush. He's kind of. So we're gonna take a quick break and then come back with Scott. But I do want to make one point, and I do want to talk about the Jaden Ivey stuff, which was crazy. We'll talk about it later. But the one thing, okay, the Jaden Ivey situation is so screwed up, and I'll talk about that the best I can later on, because there is something I want to bring to that. Hopefully without getting, canceled. But you can't even cancel me. I'm not cancelable. I'm not even open for business. How can you shut me down? But I will say with the Jordan, it's Jordan Ivey, right, Cam?
Jaden
Jaden Ivey. He gets upset when I call for him and he's not ready. So
checking something. Sorry, Pete.
Do you want to talk about think pieces? I read a whole article on that last night because I was like, what did this joker say? And at the end of the article, the last line reminded me, oh my gosh, his mom's the women's basketball coach of Notre Dame. That would have been the top line if his dad was Danny Hurley. I was like, I thought that was interesting. But we'll talk about that later. I'm kind of over my skis with that. Taking a quick break. We're coming back with the man, the myth, the legend, Big Will, Scott Williams, joining us from lovely Scottsdale, Arizona. We're talking to Scott about the North Carolina coaching situation. I want to talk to Scott about the Final Four, his year of broadcasting, a little bit about his career and his amazing story. The book is Through the Fire. You can find it on Amazon. What are you waiting for? Grab it. I think there's like a special deal on it right now, too. All right, the Pete Sousa Show, presented by Slovacics. Back after this.
Bumblebee Blinds of Waco and Temple is your one-stop shop for custom window treatment, transforming your vision into reality. Choose from a selection of shades, blinds, shutters, and curtains. Bumblebee Blinds stands behind our service and products, ensuring peace of mind with our trusted warranty. Call Bumblebee Blinds today to schedule your design consultation. Bumblebee Blinds, simplifying window treatments one covering at a time. BumblebeeBlinds.com.
Hey, it's Zach Gelb. We're talking NFL and college football. Plus, we have some of the biggest interviews in sports media. You got to check out the Zach Gelb Show right here on 365 Sports, weekdays, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 to 3 p.m. Central. And make sure you subscribe to my channel, youtube.com/@ZachGelbShow.
Hey, we're back. How about that? That was a quick one. Look at this. Scott was out grabbing coffee. I guess he ran to Starbucks. He's back now. So let's welcome Scott in. Scott, I'm surprised you don't have somebody out there running to get coffee for you, buddy.
I don't got that kind of Starbucks money, baby. They didn't pay us the way they paid these NBA players this day and age. That's straight from the coffee bar here at the house, baby.
What do you go? What's your morning go-to coffee? I know I've definitely gotten coffee with you in the morning, but I forget what'd you go with this morning?
You know what? I'm a simple drip guy. Like, I don't get too much into the weeds, but I gotta have this creamer that I get at the specialty supermarket. It's almond creamer, but it's got a hint of brown sugar in it. It's absolutely incredible.
What's it called?
You know what? I'll get back to you on that. Because it's just the store brand. And you get it at Trader Joe's. I don't know if you got Trader Joe's out back east.
Yeah.
But I get it at Trader Joe's. It comes in a small little 8-ounce pour. And you just drop a couple ounces in your morning coffee, and it just makes the day wonderful to begin.
It makes an upbeat guy like Scott Williams even more upbeat, which we love. By the way, bro, I woke up. It's funny you mentioned that. I woke up this morning, got coffee, and I'm away from the missus right now, so I'm back home by myself. And of course, I opened the fridge. First of all, there's nothing in there, and what wasn't in there? Creamer. I was like, God. So I had to go black, but hey, it was fine. It was it's kind of old school. I got to start with you, brother, about this. I've been dying to talk to you, and I've saved it. We haven't talked offline. So much to do about this North Carolina coaching situation. First of all, I know Hubert's a friend, teammate. What was your initial reaction? I hate to go too far back, but when you heard the news that the Tar Heels were going to go in a different direction.
Well, earlier that morning, I was on the radio, and I was saying that as much as I love Hubert, he's a great person, former teammate of mine. I brought him into North Carolina when he was just 18 years old, and we go back since 88 together. But I thought it was time. I really thought that the program was not progressing the way that the Carolina program should. And I say that after a lot of thought, because I've been blessed to go from Dean Smith to Coach Guthridge, and then Roy Williams, who was an assistant for 2 years at North Carolina. He was the big man's coach. And then to Hubert, where I had ties to the university that went back some 65, 70 years. That was special for me. But I just did not think, after having watched the program, missed the tournament 3 of the last 5 years, not miss the tournament, but either miss or have an early exit in the tournament 3 of the last 5 years, that we were progressing the way that we should. And Hubert gave me, in that 2002 team, gave me no greater joy than to watch them exit Coach K into retirement. And he'll always have that special moment, and he'll always be a North Carolina man. But I always just thought that, I think now is the time.
Well, so what do you think? What direction should they go in? Because you are like North Carolina, dyed in the wool, member of the family. But, sometimes you hear people say it's good to go outside the family in a different direction, in a much different universe, right? Villanova has had success at hoops, not like North Carolina, but they've had success. And when they hired Kevin Willard, that was outside the family. And honestly, for me, I was like, I'm not crazy about it. I still have a harder time getting behind him than even Kyle Neptune and, of course, Jay Wright or Steve Lapis. But for you, do you believe that it's time for Carolina to go outside of the family, or is there someone inside that you believe is capable and deserving of an opportunity?
Well, I think that they got to get this thing right. And whoever the right man for the job, whether he played at Carolina or coached at Carolina or not, is not the most important thing. And I say that very reluctantly, but it is true. The hire is the most important thing. Now everyone's throwing around names like Golden from Florida or Dusty May at Michigan, Tommy Lloyd at Arizona, Dan Hurley, UConn. You're not getting those dudes, right? Like, first of all, they've built programs where they at. Their buyouts are tens of millions of dollars. I mean, I think Golden's is $16 million and Dusty May $7.5, the high and the low end of that. But they're all right around 10 or $11 million bucks. So you're not getting those dudes. I mean, you got to look at someplace like Iowa, like a Ben McCollum. You got to go to Iowa State, like a T.J. Ossenberger, like even the guy at Vanderbilt, Mark Byington. Excuse me, Byington. Like, those are great coaches. I think you could go get. Their buyouts are right around, I think, Ossenberger's $4 million bucks. You could talk to those guys. So I think that maybe it's time. I wish there was a Carolina guy that was out of college right now that had really established himself and was winning 25-plus games a year, taking his team to the Sweet 16 or the Final 8 or even the Final 4. But there really isn't right now. There's Jerry Stackhouse, who I played with in Philadelphia, who is now coaching with Steve Kerr at Golden State. But I don't know if he's the right hire either. Because he's not in the college coaching games. He hasn't really done too much with the NIL outside of when I believe he was at Vanderbilt right before he went back to the pros. So having thrown those names out there, I do it just for examples. What the university is going to do, I have no idea. I think that they'll take their time and they'll get it right. I've heard some talk that they'll wait till after the Final Four to continue their search.
You've had, and I've been lucky enough to work with you and to get to know you and call you a friend and to understand a little bit about the man that Dean Smith was and your relationship with him. What would, if you can channel Dean Smith, what do you think he would say? What direction would he want the program to go in?
I honestly believe that, Coach Smith would want a Carolina person there if there was the right hire. If there wasn't the right hire, he would let the headhunters go do their jobs and find the right person. That's my opinion as to how Coach Smith would approach it. First, a Carolina person. If it's not the right hire, go find the right person outside the Carolina family.
Well, when you look at the Final Four now, we've now finally whittled ourselves down to this first weekend in April, and it's going to be so exciting. I was so impressed that UConn win was just, and I don't know, I know you're not a huge, I know you're not a huge Duke fan. What did you make of that game? And UConn's belief down the stretch that they were going to win. Like, did you feel that? Did you see that? Was that something as a winner like that you are? Did you notice that?
Okay, Sousa, I haven't told anybody this, so don't tell anybody. I thought the game was over. I had turned the channel off and took a nap. I woke up with 20 text messages from my Carolina people Just loving the fact that Shire and Duke got knocked out in spectacular fashion. We have a saying at North Carolina: anybody but Duke. I can't stand Danny Hurley either, or Dan Hurley either. But I will take him beating Duke on a buzzer beater to sort of salvage the weekend for sure, because it looked like that Duke team was just rolling. They only lost 2 games, I think, by a total of about 4 points all season long, and it looked like they were a shoo-in for the Final Four, which had made my stomach sick, having been knocked out in the first round being a Carolina man, that they were going to go to the Final Four. We were at home on our couches watching. So, thank you, Huskies. Thank you, Husky Nation, for easing the pain a little bit here in this 2026 NCAA tournament.
Hey, dude, welcome to the human race. That game sucked, and I put on Love Story, that JFK thing. So I was watching that, but I didn't go lights out like you. So I had my phone open, and I said, okay, this is a 10-point game. I need to go get back to that. And, I mean, what a finish. When you look at UConn and their possibilities of winning a national championship, and you look at the body of work that all these teams have in the Final Four, who do you think is most ready for this very physical affair? Some of these matchups, or both these, look like they're going to be heavyweight matchups. Who do you like in the Final Four?
I honestly, I may disagree with you a little bit on that, Pete, because I believe Arizona-Michigan is the final matchup.
Okay.
I wish that was the final matchup, because I think that's going to be whoever wins that game wins the tournament, in my opinion. Michigan, well, first of all, let me talk about UConn and Illinois. Illinois's got great defense, but I don't think they have enough defense to stop UConn from scoring. And I'll just leave that there. I have plenty of people that will argue why, but I will just leave that. I just don't think their defense, and I'm a defensive dude. Like, coach asked you to score 5 points, I get him 5 points. Coach asked me to score 10 points, I'll go get him 5 points. Like, that wasn't my role. I wasn't a scorer. I love defense. I love rebounding. I love the fact that Illinois has been able to get this far on their defense. But I think it's UConn's going to move forward into the finals, just because I don't think they'll be able to stop them. But I really believe that Arizona-Michigan is going to be, whoever wins that game is going to win the national championship. Arizona, my goodness. I mean, they are just loaded. And it's always the guard play at college basketball that seems to be able to propel teams into long runs, especially into March, right? And the two guys that they got, that Braden Burries, 16 points a game, leads the team, and the other kid, Jaden Bradley. Yeah, he's third in the team in scoring. They take care of the basketball. They feed it into to Pete, which is 14 points a game, shooting 54%. The kid's a man-child down there in that area, and they got about 2 or 3 other dudes that can go get you double-double. So I honestly think the Cats are loaded, but it's Michigan's size that they have to worry about. So Lindenberg, obviously, we know what a fantastic player he is, averaging 25 points.
We had their run last year in the NIT, Lindenberg, and I did, and Remember that stat that you opened the broadcast with, that there were only 2 dudes? It was him and Cooper Flagg in some category that was like unreal to even think you would be in it. And it was Jax Lindenberg and Cooper Flagg who were in this like category. I forget exactly what it was, but that dude is that good, huh?
Yeah, right. We saw him with the Blazers. We had him in the NIT, and I couldn't believe he wasn't off to the league already. I thought he was that talented. His footwork is that strong. He plays with precision and grace and balance. He's a fantastic player. I looked up and said, wait, Michigan? You gotta be kidding me. I thought the kid would be going to play for the Pistons, not the Wolverines. So, but they're a fantastic kid. And they got, their front line goes, Yax is 6'9", 240. This other kid, Mara, 7'3", 255.
7'3", and he is every bit of 7'3".
Yeah, he's long as a summer sun's day in Phoenix. Scottsdale. So I think that if their size, can maul Arizona, maybe even get Pete in some foul trouble, they have a real good chance to win that game. That game is going to be, by no stretch of imagination, I believe the best college basketball game we've seen all season. And I think, if Arizona should get by Michigan, which I, being here in the state, Hope that they do, because it's going to, obviously with the Final Four, the women's Final Four being here, and then Arizona, this place will be a hotbed for college hoops. I just don't think UConn can rebound with them. And I always said, as much as I like defense, rebounding is what wins championships. And we had a matchup earlier with those two, and the Cats out-rebounded them by 20. So I'm at the fact that if Arizona, Michigan, whoever wins that game, it's going to be too much for whoever wins the Illinois-UConn game.
From a philosophical perspective, I like how you talked about rebounding and big men. You were an enforcer in college basketball and in the NBA. For real, dude. That's how you made
a living. Move ahead, Pete.
15 years in the league. Baby. 15 years in the league, right? But so and really the way that basketball was being played at that time lent itself to a guy like you carving out a very long, fruitful career and having a role. Dude, it seems like we kind of are headed back in that direction. Am I wrong in that? Because when I look at Arizona, Tobe Awaka, Koa Pete, the guy Mo Krivas, they are big, they are inside, and they don't live and die by the three. And I'm curious to see what you think about that. Is that a trend we could see more of going forward?
God, I would hope so. That would be fantastic, because some of the basketball I got to watch, especially at the NBA level, these dudes are jacking up, between both teams, close to 100 3-point shots a game. That's a game I'm unfamiliar with. I like when it was. Can you say assholes on your program? It was elbows and booties, moving people around, banging into guys. You might shoot 5 to 10 threes in a game, 10 being on the high end. Back in the early 90s when I got into the NBA, I played the Boston Celtics with Larry Bird and Dennis Johnson. We had John Paxson and Craig Hodges. They weren't in the 3-point shot in the whole game. My third game in the NBA. Either team, not attempted. I'm talking about made. I'm talking not attempted. So it was a different game. You worked it inside. You played outside. You made the mid-range jump shot. You learned the give and go. And I'm starting to see some of that in some of the conferences come back, which is real joy. You get to cover the Big 12 a lot. I love that Big 12. We got to do several games last year in the Big 12. That's more of a black and bruising type Big 12 conference. I think the SEC might be trying to get. I thought the ACC had a touch more of that this year. The way the officials were letting them bump and grind.
This is a tough question, but you're out there, so I just want to see what you think about this. No team in the West Coast has won a title since '97. That's when Arizona won it. What do you make of that? How does that, why does that happen?
Did you say since '97 there hasn't been a West Coast team win the national championship?
I mean, we might have to have Cam. You can check us let us know if we're wrong. But yeah, I think that's right. That's crazy?
30 years. That's incredible to me. Being a California kid, growing up with the dynasties of the UCLA Bruins back in the day, that's shocking to me. So. And I don't even know if you can call Arizona West Coast. I mean, we're out here in the desert. If somebody can see a beach, let me know. This has been a tremendous job by Tommy Lloyd. I just give him a little credit. I don't talk about officials or coaches much. I heard your last thing about the officials. I hate officials, by the way. But yeah, Danny Hurley did that dude wrong by getting in his face. I was watching your previous segment. But Tommy Lloyd, coming from Mark Few's cloth, Gonzaga University, has come down here and just rebuilt this Arizona club. I've heard that they haven't been to the Final Four in the last 25 years. So maybe you're right. You're right about that statistic. Maybe it has been a close to 30 years since a team from let's just say west of the Mississippi has gone on to win the national championship.
It's wild.
It's wild. I just wanted to, it is correct. 97 was the last time that anyone outside west of the central time zone has won the national championship. And the farthest due west team that has won in that time frame, Pete.
Oh,
Scott Drew's Baylor Bears, 2021.
Oh, okay.
Representing the West.
Well done, Cam. Well done. All right, Scott, I got another one for you. Here's a note, just me and you talking. Tommy Lloyd here, he is a possibility at North Carolina for one reason. That they have a new AD there, and I've kind of been around that situation, just like you have, calling games, and there's a weird vibe. They don't like I think the old guard that Tommy Lloyd was kind of a part of, they're not crazy about this new administration. So that could be one thing to keep an eye on, that relationship. That's so hold out hope for you. All right, I want to
fingers crossed on that one. Although $11 million buyout, I'm not sure who's supposed to pay that. Tommy Lloyd or North Carolina. So we'll see. I don't know if Carolina will come off $11 million for that money they have there.
Scott Williams is going to pay that. I heard he's going to pay.
I'm gonna need your help, buddy.
Do you miss coaching at all this time of year?
I was a horrible coach. I talk about these coaches not getting it done, but everything I thought that I had learned along the way from the coach, from playing basketball, then going to the G League, and then going to the Milwaukee Bucks, and now I was never the head coach. So I don't want to take all the blame for the lack of success I had when I was on coaching staff. But I found out some of the things that I thought would work with my mentality as a player. I was seeing a shift in mentality. Some of these guys coming up, they're kind of more into this. Well, we don't want to bang. We want to prolong our bodies and prolong our careers and things of that nature. And I was all about, big guys. We got to bang. That's our job. We got to open up shots for the shooters. We got to get on the glass. We got to play good defense. We got to clog up driving lanes. We got to, challenge shots. We got to rebound the basketball. We got to be able to run the floor, establish low post position. These dudes, they were too soft. I got stuck with Larry Sanders in Milwaukee, and all he wanted to do was find a porch someplace and have an old-fashioned cigarette. So I don't know if old-fashioned is the right word for it, but maybe new-fashioned. But I didn't relate to him. I got my butt back into broadcasting pretty quickly right after those Milwaukee Bucks days.
Well, and you've done a hell of a job. And I want to hit you with a little bit of a speed round here. I'm just interested to see your answers for these questions. No pressure. You can pass if you want. All right. The biggest lesson that you learned from Dean Smith that you still carry today? And it's not like you don't have to answer like right away. You can think for a second.
I think it's two, really. Treat people how you want to be treated. That was probably the most important thing. But also the ability to overcome adversity. And I say that because I wrote my book Through the Fire after a long, long time of having to deal with some adversity. And it wasn't until some students at the University of North Carolina took their lives that I finally found the courage in myself to share my story about what I had gone through in those same dormitories. So it may take a while for people to realize how hard it is to get through adversity and how life is just going to throw some stuff at you. It's just going to throw life at you. And you have to persevere through that. And I think I learned a lot of that through Coach Smith because I wanted to quit basketball, at least sit out for a year. And he told me no. And the best thing about being at North Carolina was being around Coach Smith on a daily basis and trying to figure out how I was going to navigate practices on very little sleep. I was depressed. I hit the bottle hard at night sometimes just to be able to fall asleep. And it was hard to concentrate, but you had to lock in. And it focused me having basketball in my life during a very tough period of time in my sophomore year.
Dude, like you faced the ultimate challenge, and people can get into that. You can read the book Through the Fire. It's on Amazon. I think we got a sweet deal going on right now. So check it out. Yeah, there it is, baby. There it is. I breezed through my copy, and so that's another thing too. Like it's not like an overwhelming read. Like you can get through it pretty fast. There is awesome stories about you and your personal life. And I mean, who doesn't want to read about 3 titles with the Bulls? I mean, seriously. And the fact that
stories about Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and even some negative stuff about Allen Iverson, as you know, in there, Pete. Not my favorite teammate of all time.
Okay, that's my next question. Who is your favorite teammate of all time?
Without a doubt, Michael Jordan. I love the fact that he could be rough, especially on me being a Carolina guy and being the youngest on the squad for almost 3 years. But I love the fact that you had to lock in and concentrate. There was no, BSing with Michael Jordan. If you weren't ready to play, you weren't ready to perform, you didn't know the game plan, player personnel, what we were going to do offensively and defensively. I don't want to say he'll run you up out of there and ask you to be traded, but he'd make life uncomfortable on you enough that either you got in line or you got the hell out of the way. And I enjoyed that. I was so upset after I signed with your Philadelphia 76ers and he came back later that season. I wanted to wring his damn neck because I loved having that type of pressure, playing in those biggest moments of winning championships because I was a team guy. Like I said, you want 5 points, I'll get you 5 points. You want 10, I'll get you 5. But I love the fact that I had a role. I go back and watch some of those old videos even today. I played 15 minutes of a triple overtime game in the NBA Finals. So, I played 46 minutes. I played all 15 minutes of the overtime. I was a finisher. I played in the fourth quarter. I was the first big off the bench from going as undrafted for that. So I knew that I had a place. And any team that I played with after having gone through a season with Michael Jordan, most intense dude I've ever been around in my entire life. I get nervous when I text him to this day.
Let me ask you about the transition from North Carolina to the Bulls, and then you go to the Sixers. And I don't want you to get too deep into the Sixers experience because I know you got PTSD. But when you got there and you saw that, for lack of a better word, the culture was just in shambles. I've never asked you this question. Was that shocking to you because all you knew was Dean Smith, Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan, and elite competition and a high standard? Were you almost shocked at the dysfunction that was within an NBA organization? Like you were foreign to all that.
Yeah, it came a real shock to my system. First of all, we didn't have professionals on the squad. We didn't have great players, but we also didn't have professionals or good dudes. And that was tough to be around because I was with professionals. I was with guys that cared more about, the name on the front of the jersey than the one on the back. We didn't have any of that. We had some guys that were misfits. Couldn't find their way out of the bar into the practice club, practice arena rather. So it was tough. It was very tough going from winning 60 plus games every year and playing for the NBA title to winning 24 one year and 18 the next year. It was tough to ride down that. We used to practice at the Spectrum, and the Spectrum, by the time I got there, it wasn't no Dr. J and Moses Malone, Charles Barkley running around there, So, we had the Tim Perry and Dana Barros, and a couple dudes tried to do the right thing, but other than that, it was rough sledding. So, I think the best thing that happened to me is I was thrown in a trade to get out of there with Tim Thomas just to make the money work, and I got a rebirth in Milwaukee, which pretty much, I would say, saved my career. You don't know if I ever told you this, Sousa. I was the last guy in the NBA to sign an 8-year contract.
Oh,
after I fooled them so bad, they said no more of that. They outlawed 8-year deals. But yeah, I was able to go to Milwaukee and play the last 3 years of those contracts. And I was going to retire. I bought a house out here in Phoenix. I was ready to hang it up, and the Suns knocked on my door and said, "Hey, you want to play one more year?" And that gave me the opportunity to play 3 more, actually. So I got a nice rebirth of basketball and finished up with a 19-year-old LeBron James. I can't believe that kid's still playing. I'm 100 pounds over my playing weight, and he's still out there, getting buckets in the league.
It's so cool when you post the pictures when you're working. Here he is. I'm with Bronny, and I'm with LeBron. LeBron. You've literally. Yeah. You've called Bronny, you played with LeBron. It's pretty amazing. And it's a tribute to you, honestly, and your ability to sustain a career on and off the floor. A couple more for you, and I'll get you out of here. I am curious about when you look at your career, how does a player who is an effective, like you said, 35 minutes or 46 minutes in the friggin' NBA Finals, and then you are still very effective on the Bucks, one of their best players on a team that's really this close. You get suspended for a game. Otherwise, you probably would have made the finals. You lost to the Sixers, right? But then you kind of find a way to take on a whole nother role as like a mentor to younger guys on the team. How were you able to make such a seamless transition? Because that makes a 10-year NBA career 15. How did you find that role?
100%. Being professional, having learned from great coaches, first of all, Phil Jackson, Dean Smith, it starts there. It really did. I actually had a great high school coach in Mike Lowe as well, and just carried that right on through for many, many years. And then being surrounded by guys that were pro. I don't know if I've ever mentioned John Paxson and Bill Cartwright enough. But those guys, they taught me not what it was to play professional basketball, but what it was to be a professional basketball player, and to be able to, them giving back to me made me want to give something back to the younger guys behind me. I mean, Nazi Muhammad, who wanted to play 17 years, Amari Stoudemire, some of the bigs that I had that, I gave back to Jake Vosco, who I know he's loving his UConn Huskies, making it to the Final Four. But the younger guys that I wanted to help along with Jihadi White even, who that was one big, strong dude. I tried to muscle him in practice, but Jihadi was about 275 back in the day. But I wanted those guys to understand that, yes, playing for a NBA title is the most important thing, but being a pro along the way can also extend your career.
Scott Williams, dude, you're the best. Seriously, the book is Through the Fire. Go ahead and grab it. Hey, Cam, can you put the graphic up that I sent you? I mean, come on, Cameron. Let's go. This is our guy, Cam Stewart.
Oh, you're it. I'm like, what graphic?
Cam, do you well, we had a book graphic, but the bottom line is
no worries. I'll throw it up over my shoulder one more time.
By the way,
I'm trying to do some good for some domestic violence survivors here in Phoenix and back in Chapel Hill, North Carolina as well. So I need to get some momentum going.
Any causes there you want to talk about, like where people can get involved?
Well, I'm not really. The domestic violence center here is called Chrysalis. It's in Phoenix. Okay. It houses battered women and children that need to get out immediately from a bad situation. You can find them online. I don't have the website. I'm sorry.
That's cool. Yeah.
But you can find them here in Phoenix.
What's it called again?
Chrysalis, like the butterfly.
All right, there you go. Chrysalis. Yeah, and that's my brother Kevin was a therapist in Hermosa, and he worked hands-on with at a lot of those shelters with battered women, because his story was he got sober, and that was part of his living amends, was to try to help those women, because I mean it's nobody knows better than you. It's a tough road to hoe, and people can buy the book, and you can get infused with positivity, inspiration, and there it is, baby. Way to go, Cam. That's why you're the best. Hey, this dude.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much for having me on, man. I think this is going to be a great weekend of basketball. We didn't even get into the NIT. I had all this stuff on the NIT, baby. I was in New Mexico at the pit for the first time. Those got 3 fabulous freshmen down there. I hope that they can make it to the finals against Auburn. That'll be one hell of a game.
Dude, they can't keep us apart forever. By the way, this guy, Cam, come up and say hi to Scott. This asshole is named after Cameron Indoor. This guy.
You gotta be kidding me.
I swear to God, Cam.
Why would your parents do that to you, bro?
They wanted me to be bred into a life of success and arrogance. And Scott, I can't lie to you, it's failed them. I sent in an application to Durham, and I think some admissions officer wiped with it after they were done. So I have more than abdicated my Duke throne, but I was telling Pete yesterday, if that was 15 years ago that shot happened, that Braylon Mullins shot, I might have been out of work for the whole week. But thankfully, I have enough to worry about with my Baylor Bears, so we need to get to the dance.
Yes, you do.
Scott, I'll say that. One last thing to finish, since we talked about college again. Carolina, I appreciate Hubert Davis and all that he did. He's a fantastic man, but I really want them to get this coaching hire correct. I'm glad they're taking a little bit more time rather than just making a snap judgment and pulling somebody up off the bench like a Sean May, like a Jeff Lebo. If it takes going outside the family to find the right person to lead a program, hopefully they'll integrate some of what we have, our Carolina history, to keep us around, because I do like going to Chapel Hill and remembering that, I did my darn thing here at this university. I left as a top 20 scorer. I left as a top 10 rebounder, and I want to be able to have that history with the next coach. But if it doesn't happen, that's okay. I'll still be a Carolina guy. I'll still carry my mugs with me when I go out to the restaurants to watch big games.
Scott, man, you're a big-time dude, but you wear life like a loose shirt. You're so regular, man. I appreciate you, dude. Thank you very much. And I'll be talking to you very soon.
Anytime, Sousa. And get on that gift registry, man. Come on now.
I'm working on it. I'm working.
Superpowers is buying them good gifts now. Don't miss out on that.
You got it, Scott. Thank you, brother. Take it easy.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Scott Williams, one of the most special guys that, when you have different chapters of life, broadcasting for me, for ESPN was one of them. And you think, okay, this is a huge thing that I'm doing this now. And then you get to, on a Saturday in Utah, meet a guy like Scott Williams, who I was fortunate enough. We've worked probably a dozen games together, maybe 10. We only worked one together last year. But just a special guy. Get that book, man. I'm telling you, it's a quick read and it will help you. It will help you. Through the Fire. There it is, baby. Grab it on Amazon. Scott Williams, just truly one of the all-time greats. I remember I told Scott, Scott was with me. Let me grab this real quick. So this picture, right? This is when I got engaged, okay? Now, it's me and Scott interviewing Kelvin Sampson. You see my beautiful fiance right there. She had no idea, one, that she was on camera there, and two, that I was going to propose to her like 10 minutes later. When we left the arena, I proposed to her. And I was so nervous that morning. Scott and I were coming back from shoot around. And I said, I think I'm just going to do it when I get back to the hotel, man. I'm just going to do it there. He was like, I don't know, partner. He was like, I think you want to give her a chance to get dressed and get, where she's feeling like the best version of herself, like, physically. So I waited, and it was amazing advice, but I still kind of choked. Right, I asked, like, right when we walked out of the arena, we found like a stream, and I let Scott know it went great and thanked him for his advice, and I always thank him for being in my life. All right, the Pete Sousa Show. A couple more topics to hit. An update on Tiger. That's a bummer of a story, but there's more to it, more details to it actually, and some actual news stuff to report coming out of that. So stay with us. Thank you, Savacics. Thank you, Kalshi. Make sure you go to kalshi.com. The promo code is Sousa. The producer is Cam Stewart. The executive producer is Chris Visser. No more swearing for me. I'm going to have to send Visser $10. All right? But I know it's Venmo. All right, we'll be back.
Bumblebee Blinds of Waco and Temple is your one-stop shop for custom window treatment, transforming your vision into reality. Choose from a selection of shades, blinds, shutters, and curtains. Bumblebee Blinds stands behind our service and products, ensuring peace of mind with our trusted warranty. Call Bumblebee Blinds today to schedule your design consultation. Bumblebee Blinds, simplifying window treatments one covering at a time. BumblebeeBlinds.com.
Looking for football talk without the fluff? It's Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell, a former NFL quarterback breaking down the game from the inside, plus real conversations about sports, leadership, life, and everything in between. No hot takes for clicks, just honest analysis, strong opinions, and stories you won't hear anywhere else. Football talk and more, the way it's supposed to be. Subscribe now to Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell on YouTube.
It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
Experience with the Bosley MD hair regrowth kit was amazing. It was easy to use. It let me take off my hat. I could go in public and have my picture taken and feel normal again.
BosleyMD.com.
Join us at golfpartnerusa.com and discover why we're the trusted choice for golf lovers worldwide. That's GOLFPARTNERUSA.com. Golf Partner. Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internix. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. That's INTERNXT.com today.
Apollo Neuro is a new kind of wearable that helps your body recover from stress, that helps you calm down and feel better. You sleep better, and you can get back to being yourself. Learn more at apolloneuro.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
Our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Dive into adventure with Scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust Scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at Scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com. At Fullwell, we bring together the expertise of registered dietitians, MDs, and OBGYNs to give you the best fertility support. Fullwell, your trusted partner on your fertility journey. Visit us at FullwellFertility.com. Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at gevi.com to discover more.
It's the Pete Sousa Show.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. We deliver premier protection at affordable prices and express shipping. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
Hi, my name is Mike Lacey. I'm with Beyond the Game, a new podcast to the Rogue Media Network. Just when you thought you'd had a little bit too much about BYU, here we are to provide you even a little bit more. I, as part of the BYU group, am grateful that we're part of the Big 12 and really grateful that we're part of the Rogue Media Network. Thank you.
Paul Catalina. There he is, folks. I asked Paul a question, by the way. Let's see what we got here. Sometimes the guests on talk shows bring the name, but not the goods. That wasn't as much about the name, but gosh, Scott brought the goods. Great segment, by the way. That's Chris Visser, so that's high praise, baby. Thanks, Chris. I'm almost done my Leslie Visser book. I was texting Chris about it last night. My only critique of the book is I wish Leslie would talk about herself more. There's a few chapters in the middle where she does, her job as a reporter, where she talks about special figures in her life, guys who she loved covering, which was like extremely compelling. But for me, as like the broadcaster, I liked more of her personal stories, whether it was professional stories or personal stories. They're so good. Like when she talks about when she's interviewing Bobby Knight, and he starts to give her the business, like kind of blowing her off after a tournament game, and she gets right in his kitchen, and she's like, all right, because she was talking to him about the score after they beat Temple. And he's like, well, you people in the media, you don't pay much attention to that. Right away, she checked him. She was like, all right. What about when you went to the matchup zone? And she broke Bob Knight. He started to laugh. And she said she went to the press room at the NCAA tournament site afterwards, and she got a standing ovation. There's like, and another thing too, God, I work for ESPN and Disney. So I mean, like, but this is like, I'm not going to relitigate this. How about Leslie Visser was let go by Monday Night Football like in 2001 for Melissa Stark? That was Don Ohlmeyer that did that. Now, Don Ohlmeyer, obviously like one of the best sports producers, TV executives of all time. He was off Monday Night Football in a year, and I think Melissa Stark was too, and everybody missed Leslie Visser. Leslie Visser has been so successful and such a powerhouse, I had totally forgotten that anybody actually denied her an opportunity once she had entered into that elite stratosphere. But that happened. But it's like not even a blip on the radar. She was such a powerhouse. Check out the book. It's a great book. Let me tell you the name because it's props to Visser's mom. Sometimes you have to cross when it says don't walk. That's the Leslie Visser book, and it is damn good. Okay, some Tiger Woods stuff, and then we'll talk about a couple sponsors. Look, the latest update on Tiger is, and it just feeds into more of what we thought, when police had him on the side of the road, there it is. TMZ is reporting, and I read the article this morning that he had hydrocodone in his pocket, 2 of them, right? Like, and he was slurring, and man, it's just like it's bad. It's bad. It's real bad. And here's where I don't know that it's going to get better right away. We've not heard anything from Tiger's camp about like what's going on with him, which was fine. It's a personal thing for him. He doesn't have to say anything if he doesn't want to. But my fear is that I'm worried that the dude's going to try to like, first of all, he's got a press conference coming up this week about a golf course at Augusta that he is a part of, and then this is, look, man, let's not all throw all shade at Tiger. Tiger he lends his name and his resources, right, to some golf courses around the country. Specifically, I can tell you about one in in Philadelphia. I just got a message from Matt Muehlbach asking me if I'm going to the Final Four. I'm not, but Muehlbach, Arizona great, We'll be talking to him later today. At least I will. Maybe we'll get him on the show. But Tiger does a lot for underprivileged folks and underprivileged areas that are trying to make golf a part of the solution for some of their youth. And what he's doing there's a Cobbs Creek golf course in Philadelphia, which is in a rough area, and it was run down big time. And I don't want to get too deep into the weeds because I know some of the guys who are actually involved with this. Great friend of mine in my wedding, Tony Hayden, right? Tony's a part of it. The new Cobbs Creek with Tiger having his name on it. Chris McGuire is a big name. He's involved. And a lot of folks from the PGA, I think, are involved, the PGA of America. I think that's the outfit that's aligned with it. But even when we do our Big 12 show at the PGA of America, there's like another PGA, and I'm not a golf guy, so forgive me. But my point is that Tiger is involved with a lot of positive stuff, and I think he's involved with something pretty positive that's close to Augusta. And there's a press conference that he's supposed to be at, I think, in the coming days. And if he's at that press conference, or if he doesn't address this, it's going to be exhausting for us. And if he tries to play in the Masters, that's going to be rough. And I think it's possible, it's on the table that he may. I mean, before this accident happened, and this is Dan Patrick reporting this morning, Tiger's aircraft was in Augusta, I think last week or the week before, which is what you do before you play Augusta. And Tiger, being a champion, gets an invite right away. And as far as open information is concerned right now, there's 15 former champions who are alive and well who are turning down the opportunity to play at Augusta in the Masters this year. But Tiger is not one of them, not yet at least. So, look, man, that's why they call it a disease, by the way, addiction. And I'm not going to get on this again, but I do want to say, the guy's not playing with the full deck right now until he really gets the help he needs. So these decisions that he makes are not made by anyone of sound mind. Now, I saw Dr. Drew last night. Forgive me. You've gone way too far down the rabbit hole when you're watching Dr. Drew, and it's not 2010. But Dr. Drew made a point. He kind of had a back and forth with the host of the show. He was on a show. Oh, he was on with Harvey Levin and TMZ. And, Dr. Drew said that Tiger does not need, because he could go to jail. Dr. Drew was like, he doesn't need that right now. And Harvey Levin pushed back, and good for him. Because I'm somebody I look at, again, addiction is a disease, but at the same time, it's consequences help you lick the disease, because that's what you need to understand that you're at your absolute bottom. And I think that a consequence like going to jail forever, how long, is something that could move a guy like Tiger Woods closer to the solution. Treating him with kid gloves and saying, okay, here's a slap on the wrist, knock yourself out, do a weekend in jail, and do these rehabilitation instructions that are, put on you by a judge. I don't know if that's the answer. But again, it's really hard to get through this stuff. But I can tell you what the solution isn't. Tiger not being accountable for what happened, and Tiger playing in the Masters or going about his business like nothing happened. Honestly, I don't think that the public will stand for it. There's been so much outcry because, a lot of this stuff is going on every day, and it's not Tiger Woods, so we don't talk about it all the time. But somebody who's gotten in a situation like this for the third or fourth time and has not shown much accountability at all, I think people are frustrated by it. And you hear parents talk about, well, what if my kid was on the road? This guy he's rolling cars with consistency, dude. That's lock him up and throw away the key type stuff for most members of society. He's getting some grace, but how much more grace does a guy like this get? And I think that is an issue. And I think that that's something we will probably get an answer to soon, whether it's the approach that the powers that be, legally, and prosecutors take in Jupiter, Florida. I think it's Martin County. But all this stuff is developing. But the new pieces of news that I have for you are that there were 2 pills in his pocket that were hydrocodone. This is according to police, which is heavy-duty stuff. And he's also not taken his name out of the Masters right now. And, of course, we all know he hasn't said anything publicly, which, again, he doesn't owe us anything. He doesn't have to. But before he goes out there and tries to steal somebody else's spotlight in Augusta and get back on there, and I know that's not his intention, but that's what will happen. I think if he's going to go back out publicly and pursue success on the golf course, he certainly owes us an explanation or details as to how he's trying to help his personal life. Again, I go back to what I said earlier in the week on this show, what I said, Saturday night, hosting Westwood One Sports Night. We should not see Tiger for another 18 months. Like if he wants to know what I think, which he doesn't, but like that's how, I only know how I got sober. Like you got to go off the grid for a while, bro, especially when you're running around with like oxys in your pocket. Like it ain't a good look. All right. So that is, that's just my take. And he had hydrocodone, not oxys, but you get the deal. One more thing I wanted to mention, and I got to give the Big 12 props for this. And I think this is like, and I'm not just saying this because of, I do a lot of stuff for the Big 12. But I saw this morning that the Big 12 they partnered with the NFL recently to get into the flag football space. And it looks like they may actually start to compete in flag football. And like, that's a great idea. And I want to give you some of the details around this because, again, I think that this is like such a Brett Yormark type deal, like just kind of being a visionary. First of all, it's a great sport for young women. And if you've watched any of this stuff, like some of the ESPN competitions, like these girls they're delightful. They're striking. They've got aura. They're amazing athletes. Like I get like a women's volleyball feel. And just to give you some stats on this, right? There are 20 million players worldwide, flag football. More than 4 million youth participants in the United States alone. That's a 50% increase since 2020. It's offered at the high school level across 39 states, and participation has climbed on 60% year over year. And the men's and women's flag football, they will debut at the Summer Olympics in 2028. And Scott Draper, who's part of the competition, and the chief football officer, is the one who had a quote about this, who said, this is Scott Draper from the Big 12. We're trying to meet the moment. Our goal is growth. Our goal is to advance Big 12 membership opportunities and growth for the conference. We see that in this opportunity. And this is, again, all through a partnership with the Big 12. The Big 12 and the NFL previously announced a partnership in December, and that was expected to include collaborations around technology, officiating, and, of course, flag football. Look, this is where I come down on this. And I know that the Greg Sankey and the SEC is king, and Tony Petitti and at the Big Ten. I mean, nobody knows how to get some shine going around your conference than Petitti. He's just he's a TV guy by nature, and he's terrific at it. But again, when I mentioned those two guys for a reason. They're probably like, Yormark, chill out, bro. It's like every time we turn around, this guy's got another notch in his belt, or he's doing one more thing that puts the Big 12 in a better position to succeed. It's like we've all had coworkers like this, and I work my ass off, but I'm not that guy. Christy, my fiance, is kind of that woman where she's got such a standard where I know it just wears out the people that work for her. And like, I hear her talking to these people and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm already exhausted. And I think that Yormark, in the best way possible, no offense, Christy, a little more polish, has a way. He's just such a high achiever, and he's such a visionary, and he continues to move the ball forward, no pun intended. And if this women's flag football thing were to gain some steam, which it will if the NFL is behind it, And, the Big 12 is a part of it and along for the ride. Like, look out. But every time you turn around, it's like there's no days off for this dude in this conference. And you really got to tip your cap, man. You got to tip your cap. And if Arizona were to win the national championship, again, then you look back, the Big 12, you got 3 of the last 6 champions. Or 3 of the last 5 or 6. Either way, looks pretty good. So props to the Big 12 as they move forward. Hey, Cam, anything from you? Anything going on Wicked Boston?
Nope, don't have a show today, so nothing huge on that front. I am starting to get PO'd about the Red Sox, and we're 4 games into the season.
Why? What's the biggest storyline there?
They've just lost 3 in a row. They can't score runs. All their offseason acquisitions have stunk so far, like big time. And, who would have thunk it? Like, you don't have a right-handed power bat in the lineup and you're not scoring runs. It's kind of like we knew this from, I don't know, last July. And not only did you not add a right-handed power bat, Pete, you subtracted one and did not replace it. So that'll be an issue. Their pitching will be good, but that'll be an issue throughout the season.
How about you? You feeling better? You had a really long weekend, and you look tired this morning again.
Yeah, I have still. I let it be known that's Pete that's bringing that up 2 days in a row. I have not used it as an excuse. But
No, you're not making an excuse. I care about you.
I appreciate that, Pete. No, I have not caught up on sleep yet. It's been bad. I ended up just working a little too long last night.
Yeah,
Mondays are long days for me, so I'm hoping that we get caught up by the end of this week.
Early tonight, dude.
I'll try.
No, seriously. I mean, you need to just get in bed by I want you all tucked in I've been a roommate with you. We roomed together.
Yes, yeah. That was like the easiest week of sleep I have had in years.
Because you were
this is with Pete playing NFL Network documentaries at regular volume. But I was still on East Coast time. I had my melatonin. We woke up early every morning, so I was out at 9:30 every night that week. But I gotta save it. I gotta save it up, Pete. We got
to NFL Films or something, and
I gotta save it up, Pete, because as much as I'm bitching about the Red Sox right now, home opener Friday.
Oh, will you be at that one?
I've had some people reach out, see if I want to go.
Go, Cam. You gotta go.
I know I do. I just gotta.
Does that interfere with our show? We can work around.
No, it doesn't. That's the great part. That's why I've kept it open. Is it does not interfere with our show.
Yeah, we're all about life experiences here on the Pete Sousa Show. Who am I to stand in the way of a life experience? I'm not.
And last year, I did the home opener at Wrigley. So to do it back to back year, and I have never been to a Red Sox opening day, never. So to do those back to back years, pretty cool, Pete. Pretty cool. I don't remember what I paid for the ticket, thank God. But
how about our girl Taylor McGregor? Did you see her? She's been making the rounds on social media. The dugout reporter for the Chicago Cubs on their broadcast. Her father was the general manager and the president of the Colorado Rockies, and he died suddenly. This is 30 years ago, maybe less. But so she knows baseball. She's got it in her DNA. She's a reporter for ESPN as well, college football and NBA too. But foul ball kind of trickled into her area, and they're at Wrigley, and she's got this great winter sweater on, it just she looked striking. Let's put it that way. And she's got the ball, and she's about to hand it to this little kid, and she's like, "You're a Cardinals fan. Get out of here!" And she flips it over to a Cubs fan. It's like, all right,
that's it, man. That is it.
All right, I'll tell you, you cannot dim the light of someone like Taylor McGregor. But if you needed to do it, you would call Bumblebee Blinds, okay? Bumblebee Blinds is, for my money, the best blinds, curtains, whatever you want to call it, in the country, and certainly here in Central Texas and all across Texas. BumblebeeBlinds.com. Get in touch with them. You can schedule a consultation, and then ultimately, if you're at all like me, that consultation will probably turn into some beautiful shades, curtains, like I said, whatever you need. They will take care of you. And this time of year in Texas now, I mean, folks, I was driving back from the DFW last night, and it was 8:05, and it was still pretty light. No, it was 8:30. And it was there was still some, natural light going on there from our buddy, Mr. Sunshine. So it's that time of year. And if you got to go to bed early, you got something going on in the morning, you got Bumblebee Blinds that'll black it out for you. Bumblebee Blinds is the better alternative as opposed to some of the stuff that Cam's going to take tonight to go to sleep. I can promise you that. So check in with Bumblebee Blinds, bumblebeeblinds.com. Also, Lake Waco Golf Club. Man, you got to check it out. The Masters is coming up. You're going to get the itch. And if you get the itch, I want you to scratch it at Lake Waco Golf Club. All you have to do is go to lakewacogc.com, lakewacogc.com. It's beautiful. And where it is nestled right along the north part of Lake Waco is the ultimate setting. Executive 18-hole golf course, a par 3 golf course. And of course, you got all the accoutrements in the locker room, and you got the great food, and you got the pro shop. lakewacogc.com. Big rest of the week. We got guys like Johnny Dawkins. We got guys like Derek Wittenberg. We got guys like Harold Presley. We've got a murderer's row, okay? Because it's about college basketball in the Final Four. Cam Stewart, thank you so much. Chris Visser, thank you so much. Garrett Ross, baby, with us today. Thank you so much, Garrett. Yeah, we'll check you guys out tomorrow. And thank you to everybody here that's just making this possible. Slovacics, we love you. Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, we love you. Kalshi, we love you. Kalshi.com, promo code Sousa. Do this for me. I don't ask you guys to do anything. Do this for me, all right? We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, Slovacics.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me, and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns. Book your first appointment today.
Sports.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.